and welcome to Rathod's IAS Academy. Today in this session we are going to see current affairs of 14th February 2025. So let's get started with our discussion and let us see very important topics which are appeared in our today's newspaper. Okay, so we are going to see in all dimensions from prelims, mains and interview point of view. And if you are watching this class, so please do watch until last so that you will be getting a lot of insights regarding how you have to analyze Hindu articles. Okay, now let us see the first article. So if you see the title, so what is this article talking about? President's rule imposed in Manipur days after CM's exit. So have you heard this word president's rule? Yes, it is directly present in your syllabus, right? So in your syllabus, okay, first let me write the keyword. The keyword is president's rule. So this topic is important from your GS paper 2 under polity. So in polity, we will be reading book called as M. Lakshmikant, right? So in that book, so there is one chapter called as emergency provisions. So in this emergency, you will be studying about three types of emergencies, guys. That is national emergency, president's rule, or state emergency, and next one is financial emergency. So this topic, it is president's rule or state emergency which is there in use. It is directly related to a static syllabus. So here what are the dimensions you have to see? You have to see about constitutional provisions. That means which article, which part of your constitution talks about this emergency. And you have to see about what are the conditions to be satisfied to impose president's rule, and what is the procedure, and what is a tenure, like how much time it can be imposed. So what is the thing that you have to see? So all these are the very important. Even you have to see what is the impact of this president's rule. So all these are the very important dimensions. Now let us see the context. So if you see the context, it says that on February 9th, Manipur's chief minister resigned. And after that, our president imposed president's rule in this northeastern state. So what are the key points that you have to see? So first, what is the president's rule? Under Article 356 of our constitution, it is also called as Garner's rule. So it refers to a period when there is constitutional machinery breakdown in state happen. So state government, whenever it is unable to function according to the provisions of our constitution, so now governor of the state will be giving the report to president, and governor will be recommend president to impose president's rule. So this, it is a period when autonomy of state government is temporarily suspended, and now central government will be assuming the direct control over state administration. So because of this, this president's rule is also known as constitutional emergency or state emergency. Okay, and imposition of this president's rule which empowers now central government to suspend the state legislature, and central government will govern the state through an office called as Office of Governor now. So now let us see the constitutional provisions related to this president's rule. Actually, from Article 355 to Article 357 in part 18 of our constitution talks about this president's rule. And even Article 365, which is present in the part 19 of our constitution, also talks about this president's rule. So what does this Article 355 says? It is a duty of union to protect states against external aggression and internal disturbance. You have to remember these two words, external aggression, and next one is internal disturbance. And Article 356 is nothing but the provisions in case of failure of constitutional machinery breakdown. It is nothing but your president's rule. And Article 357 talks about the legislative powers under this proclamation of this president's rule. And next one is what is the effect of failure of complying with. Okay, so it is nothing but talks about directions given by the union. And what are the grounds? So when we can impose this president's rule? As per Article 355, Indian constitution imposes a duty on the center to protect every state against external aggression and as well as internal disturbance. And it's a responsibility of government to ensure that every state is carried according to the provisions of constitution. And in this duty, in the performance of which center takes over the government of state under Article 356. And we have the provisions under Article 356 and as well as Article 365 where we can impose president's rule. So open your Lakshmikant and see in detail about this state emergency, okay? Don't forget. And now let us see the next article. It is about bird flu. AP declares 4 areas as biosecurity zones. So this article is talking about one important disease. It is called as bird flu or avian influenza. So where you can see this topic from GS paper 3 under science and technology. So in science and technology you have this topic called as diseases. And in this disease we have two types, non-communicable disease and communicable disease. And in the disease you will be studying about human disease and animal disease. So animal disease are called as zoonotic disease. So from the zoonotic disease point of view, this article is very important. Okay, now we are going to see this topic in a very great detail. So here, what are the topics that you have to see? So you have to see about what is this avian influenza. And you have to see about causative organism. So which is causing this disease. And next one is you have to see about what is the impact. So what happens if we are getting this bird flu or avian influenza, and in this impact you have to say about impact on environment, impact on economy, and as well as impact on society and impact on malnutrition in our country. So all these things are very important because chicken is a very important rich source of protein, so that we can address this protein malnutrition. And because of the people who are dependent on this poultry, because of this influence, it will be affecting that people livelihood. And as well as you know that India is very good producer of meat and as well as eggs, so it will be getting affected. And from environment point of view, you have to know about one nation, one health concept. Okay, now let us see here the context. That is avian influenza, it is rapidly spreading in these Telugu states like AP and as well as Telangana. So because of this is the news. So if you see about some facts regarding avian influenza, that is H5N1. So H5N1, it is a type of influenza virus, and this H5N1 which causes disease in birds. So whenever they are getting the influenza or like flu in humans, it is normally called as human influenza. If it is causing in birds, it is called as bird influenza, and birds comes under category of avians. That means they can fly. So because of this, we'll call as avian influenza. Okay, and actually in this H5N1, so we have subtypes H and as well as N. So here normally it is caused by virus. It is based on the surface protein. So which type of proteins which are present in the surface of this virus, based on that we have different types of H and as well as N. Normally in H we have H1 to H18, and as well as in N we have N1 to N11 subtype. Especially this avian influenza is caused by H5N1 variant. So how this can be transmitted? So this influenza, if a bird is getting this, so normally if you see in the poultry, so birds are grown in a shed, right? So here a huge number of birds, they will be having contact, they will be sharing the common water bowls and as well as the food where they are taking. So that bird to bird transmission is very possible. Okay, because of direct contact, because of saliva, because of body fluids, because of excreta everywhere. So we can see this bird related avian influenza particle, so that it will be very easy for spreading of this disease in this forms. And next one here is already human will be obviously going into that area to clean and to serve this birds to provide water, to maintain temperature, everything. So whenever human is going to come in contact with the bird, there is a chance of transmitting of this disease from these birds towards humans. But sometimes it is very rare. And next one is, after once human get this transmission of this influenza from these birds to human, and this human will be coming in contact with their family members. So there is a chance of human to human transmission as well. So what will be the symptoms? So normally whenever you are getting flu or influenza, so what are the symptoms that you will be getting? The same symptoms will be seen in this birds also, like high grade fever, body pains, cough, sore throat, muscle aches, etc. And even especially the eyes of this birds will be getting affected. That is called as conjunctivitis, and even respiratory problems. So sometimes they will collapse and they will die. Okay, so actually one important thing that you have to remember is, if there is any form which is affected by this influenza, there is no particular medicine that we can use. So they'll go for culling of these birds. Culling means nothing but they'll be breaking the necks of the birds. So because of this, that will causes very loss to the company and as well as farmers who are rearing them. Okay, so now if you see the preventive measures and some recommendations, so Zoo and Wildlife gave some protocols so that we can prevent this avian influenza. We have to take some biosecurity measures, like we have to use some nets and as well as covers, so that outside birds or outside animals should not come in contact with this farm birds. And next one here is, whenever any person who is going into this farm, who is serving in that farm, he has to use some disinfection of his footwear and what are the equipment they are maintaining, so that they can maintain hygiene. And avoid feeding carnivores, raw poultry, etc. For example, if any bird which had been died because of this avian influenza, if you're throwing it there, other animals like dogs or anything which come and which can eat, so that there is a chance of spreading of that infection to other animals also. So we have to go for proper disposal, and even regular health monitoring is very important in this poultry. And next one here is, at the state level we can take some actions like temporary shutdown of affected facilities, and even we have to go for isolation of infected bird, and we need to go for proper surveillance and early detection as well. And even as I said, from environment point of view, we have to take into consideration, that is one health approach. So one health is nothing but we will be taking into consideration our environment health, our animals which are living around us, and as well as human health together. So by this we can address this avian influenza comprehensively. So these are the some important things that you have to see, and just think about what will be the negative impact of this bird influenza. Okay, now let us see the next article. So this article is saying that coastal regions must guard telecom assets from disasters, says CDRA. So here there are two important keywords, guys. So first important keyword is telecom infrastructure, and next one is CDRA. So these are two keywords. So actually now why it is in news now, CDRA is saying that especially certain coastal areas. So as you all know that India is having a very long coastline, and there is one recent update regarding coastline is, we recalculated a coastline recently, and earlier what is the coastline, around 7,500 kilometers, right? So it had been increased to around 11,000 kilometers now. So now India's new coastline is around 11,000 kilometers, not 7,516 kilometers. It is 11,516 exactly, but it is around 11,000 some change. Okay, I can't remember that number, but it is around 11,000 kilometers now. So if you are reading your NCRT, so please try to update this coastline number in your NCRT. So here we have lots of coast areas, like we have Gujarat here, we have Maharashtra here, we have Goa, we have Tamil Nadu, we have Kerala, we have AP, Odisha, West Bengal. So these are some coast areas which are coastal states which are present in our country. So now CDRA is saying that, so coastal areas, they are very vulnerable to disasters. So which are those disasters? For example, we have floods, and especially in Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea, we have cyclones. So whenever cyclones are happening, the winds will be moving with a very fast. So whenever winds are moving with a very high speed, what happens? Whatever the infrastructure which is regarding telecom. So regarding telecom, we will be having telephone towers, and we will be having some poles through which the signals will be transmitted. So because of very high speed, so there is a very high chance of disruption of telecom infrastructure. So if there is no proper telecom infrastructure, then what happens? Can we go for proper communication? No. So if there is no proper communication, can we go for proper rescue and relief? We can't go for proper rescue, proper rehabilitation, proper relief. So because of all these things, yes, there will be delay in rescue and response. So because of this, now CDRI is saying that it is the responsibility of state government to take care of this telecom infrastructure. So this topic you can see from GS paper 3 under disaster management. So you have to see this topic from disaster management point of view. And you have to focus on CDRA. What is this? You need to know, because there is a chance of getting prelims based question here. And you have to know about examples of this telecom infrastructure that we have. Okay, now let us see the context. It says that the Coalition for Disaster Resilience Infrastructure, that is CDRI, which came up with a report. And in this report, it said that coastal states like Tamil Nadu and as well as Gujarat, they are weak in maintaining telecom infrastructure. So now in this report, this CDRI said that yes, you have to take some steps to protect telecom assets from natural disasters like coastal area, like cyclones. So these areas, they are very much vulnerable to this coastal area. So if you see Tamil Nadu, so here we have Gujarat, here we have, so this is Arabian Sea and this is Bay of Bengal. So these two states are very much vulnerable to the cyclones in this Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal, which leads to fast moving of winds. Because of this, it is linked to the damage to the telecom infrastructure, telecom assets like towers, like wires, etc. So now let us see this article in clear. So this report comes as natural disasters occur more frequently. And why there is increasing of natural disasters? Because of climate change. Because of climate change, there is increase in frequency of getting cyclones and increase in number of cyclones in this region. So because of this, what are the critical infrastructure that is there in that state? It is now endangered. So now telecom networks are particularly vulnerable physically, and if they are affected, we will lose communication with the people. So if we are losing communication, and obviously we can't go for effective relief and rehabilitation. Rescue operations will be delayed. That is the thing which mainly said by CDRI. So if you see about the CDRI, so this organization which had been formed at United Nations Climate Action Summit of 2019 by India, and it is also a global partnership of nations, and it is one of United Nations agencies, and the important aim it is to promote resilience of infrastructure. So we want to have the systems like climate resilient. That means if there is any disaster happen, so those infrastructures should withstand that kind of disasters. And there are 40 countries the member of this CDRI, and as well as 7 organizations who are present in that. And this organization will release a report called as Global Infrastructure Resilience Report. And according to this report, it said that states like Tamil Nadu and Gujarat, they are weak at maintaining infrastructure now. So what is significance of the CDRI? It will focus on financing and as well as coordination with effective implementation of things. And what are the initiatives which are taken by the CDRIs now? Like we have infrastructure for resilient island states, especially small island nations which are present in this Indian Ocean or like Pacific Ocean. They are very much vulnerable because of climate change. Whenever climate change is happening, the melting of glaciers happens, there will be increasing of sea level rise. So because of this, they are much more vulnerable. So for them, they are coming up with providing of finance so that countries, they will develop climate resilient infrastructure. And next one here is we are focusing on knowledge exchange. What is happening? So if they are getting information, then only they will update, right? So this will be released in the report regarding the knowledge they have to update with, and even exchange learning and collaborative program. And even this organization will be conducting some international conferences so that they can share their common problems, etc. And now let us see the next article. There are two articles which are there in our news. That is Rafael M Pact to be inked soon, delivery to start after 4 years. So actually, you know that our Prime Minister, he is on visit to France regarding AI summit. And from France, which defense equipment we are getting? We are getting Rafale jets. So these are the Rafale jets which are mainly used by Air Force. Okay, so these are the jets which are very very important for maintaining of our border. For example, if you see, India is sharing boundary with different countries like Pakistan, like Nepal, Bangladesh, Myanmar, China. So although we are sharing boundary with 7 countries, we are having threat from 2 countries. So one is Pakistan and one is China. So we have to secure our borders. For this, we need to have this advanced technology for sure. So if you are not watching movies like Operation Valentine, so please do watch this Operation Valentine. So in that movie, they clearly depict how we are safeguarding our Indo-Pakistan border by air force. That movie is very very detailedly given about what is this for Project Vajra. So what are the developments of our country? So how we are maintaining the radar system? Everything which is given very clearly in that movie. So watch that movie once. So here we are getting these Rafale jets from this France. So actually our Prime Minister, he is on visit to France. So in this visit we are going to have further more delivery of this Rafale. So we are going to get more Rafales from this France now. And after once this is signed, once this project is signed, so within 4 years we will be getting the delivery of this Rafale jets to India. So just go to Google and just type about this Rafale jet and see about what are the features of this Rafale. That's it. Because already many a times we discussed this topic. And next topic here is unloading of Union Carbide waste begins in MP town. So this article is related to Bhopal gas tragedy. So Bhopal gas tragedy, it is one of the very important industrial disaster which happened in our country. So this company, that is Union Carbide company, so which is mainly produces one chemical which will be used in our crops, that is like fertilizer industry, so which is producing fertilizer in our country. So actually what happened was in 1984. So in 1984, suddenly this gas, isocyanide gas, which started releasing from this company, and because of that it is very fatal, and many thousands of people who are like working in that area, in that company, who are living in the quarters nearby village, they died. And till now also there is some impact of this isocyanide in that region. So this disaster happened in year 1984, but now we are in 2025. That means around 40 years had been done, 40 years of complete thing had happened, but even though there is no removal of contaminated waste in that region. So now they are going for removing of this contaminated waste from this Union Carbide industry. So where did it happen? This happened in Bhopal, which is present in Madhya Pradesh. And even today also, the people who affected by this Bhopal gas tragedy didn't get proper compensation also. And even now also the people, they are fighting for this. And actually this isocyanide, it is also a teratogen. So it is also a teratogen. That means it causes some birth defects, and not only it is causing the harmful for the life of the people, but even the next generation people, uh, they are uh, they are having like lack of limbs, lack of proper development of the body. So here this is one important serious problem that we have to see. And one more thing here is, whenever they are removing the waste or contaminated thing from this area, so they have to dispose in another area. So there may be also some more environmental impact in area where they are disposing that. So because of this, people, they are opposing this removal of this contaminated waste from this area. So this topic is again important from disaster management, which comes under GS paper 3. And even in your NCRT, you might have read about this Bhopal gas tragedy for sure. So see about what happened in that incident and what is the impact of that. So this is an example of industrial disaster which happened in India. Okay, now let us see the next article. So it is about shared understanding. So this article, it is not at all a new article. From last 1 week onwards, we are discussing this article. So this article, it is about AI summit in France. So it is talking about AI summit in France. So AI summit, global AI summit is going on in Paris. So where is Paris located? Paris is located in France. So for this AI summit, our prime minister, he visited and he also co-chaired that summit. So here you have to see about what are the highlights of the summit. So what are the key points of the summit you have to know? And on the sidelines of the summit, India, France also had some meet. In that meet, they are going to sign or they are going to ink some memorandum of understandings or agreements. So you have to see what is the importance of our PM visit to France. So what we are going to get. So this topic is important from international relations which comes under GS paper 2. So now let us see this thing. Okay. So here if you see the highlight of PM visit to France, first one here is whenever our prime minister he went to France, we can understand that we are going to develop strategic partnership. And here both France and as well as India, they are reaffirmed their shared vision for bilateral cooperation. And even they are going for international partnership as well. And next one here is they also commended the progress achieved in their bilateral cooperation and they want to accelerate in the three pillars. So what are those three pillars? The first one is they want to improve their partnership in technology and innovation. Second one is trade and investment. And third one is to increase their presence in Indo-Pacific region. So in these three areas, they want to focus. So if you see regarding this technology and innovation, so in this recent AI summit, so we are also going to have this upcoming India France Year of Innovation 2026. So we are especially focusing on expanding of cooperation in digital sciences, artificial intelligence, and as well as startup incubation. And regarding trade and investment, yes, we are going to enhance the trade. For example, earlier I said about one article regarding Rafale jets. So whenever we are getting number of Rafale jets from this country, obviously that will come under part of trade. That is imports and exports between India and France. So we are going to strengthen our economic ties. And next one is we are also going to improve regional security, sustainability, cooperation, etc. And if you see the agreements we are focusing on strengthening of AI intelligence, AI, that is artificial intelligence between India and France. And next one is we are focusing on future cooperation in technology. And even we regarding this research and development also we are going to have agreement. And we are also going to have 10 Indian startups in this France. And even we are focusing on small modular reactors. That means now France is going to share some technology regarding small modular reactors. So what are the small modular reactors? They are nothing but nuclear reactors where we will be using this nuclear material like uranium and thorium to generate electricity. So here normally we will be having different kinds of reactors, but now the present technology is based on small modular reactors. So these small modular reactors are small in size and even they will take very less time to development and they will be having high efficiency as well. Okay, so for that we are focusing on generating of or producing of this small modular reactors, and even we are focusing on civil nuclear cooperation and global nuclear partnership. So in all these areas, we are going to sign some agreements between India and France by the end of this visit of Prime Minister. And next article here is China's dam project opens the floodgates of concern. So this article is also very important. So as you all know that India is sharing boundary with China. So if you see this is Indo-China border. So it is India, So it is China. So this topic it is about river system. So normally in India we have two types of river system. So one is Himalayan river system, second one is Peninsula river system. That means here we will be having Himalayas, right? So in that Himalayas, what are the rivers are there in India? That comes under Himalayan river system, and the peninsula. In the peninsula of the country, what are the rivers are there? That comes under peninsula rivers. So in this Himalayan rivers, we have majorly three river system. So you might be knowing about Indus, river Indus, river Ganga, and river Brahmaputra. And in this peninsula rivers, so here we have Arabian Sea and here we have Bay of Bengal. So some rivers moving and they will be joining in this Bay of Bengal. Some rivers they will be coming and joining this Arabian Sea. So they are called as west flowing rivers and they are called as east flowing rivers. Okay, so here in the river system in our country, we have Himalayan rivers and Peninsula rivers. Himalayan rivers only three, Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra. And in this Peninsula river, we have two types, west flowing and east flowing. Some of the west flowing rivers, I think you might be knowing about this Narmada, Tapi or Tapati, Mahi, Sabarmati. So like that, we have some west flowing rivers. And the east flowing rivers, you know about this river Krishna, river Godavari, river Kaveri, okay, like that, Mahanadi, etc. They will join this Bay of Bengal. They are called as east flowing rivers. So why we are talking about these rivers? So whenever you see rivers, what will come into your mind? So we have tributaries. Tributaries are nothing but the small rivers. They will come and join these major rivers. Okay, for example, if the river it is flowing in this direction, if the small rivers coming and joining here, from the both the sides. So they are the left bank rivers. They are coming from the left side and joining, and they are right bank tributaries. Left bank and right bank. So normally here, why we are talking now about this river system? It is related to Himalayan river system. So here we have a river. So here we have a river. It is coming and it is entering into India, and finally it is entering into Bangladesh and it is joining this Bay of Bengal. So this river system is nothing but your Brahmaputra river system. So this river is Brahmaputra river, and this river it is flowing between three countries. So here we have China, it is coming into India and it is entering into the Bangladesh. So now why it is in news? Because China is come up with a big plan. So what China is coming up, it wants to build a dam on this river Brahmaputra, and that too very huge dam. So this is called a super dam of China. So here China proposed to construct super dam on this river Brahmaputra. So because of this, whenever it is constructing dam, so what is the meaning of dam? So they will be constructing some gates like that, and they will try to store the amount of water here. That is called as dam. They want to stop the flow of river. So why they will construct dam? So they want to stop the flow of river, and whatever the water it is collected, that will be used for irrigation purpose or like drinking water purpose, etc. So what happens if this China construct a dam on this Brahmaputra? Whatever the water which is coming into India will be affected, right? And even water coming to this Bangladesh will also get affected. The first important point of concern here is there will be alteration in the water flow. And second important point you have to remember is, for example, if there is, already you know that climate change is happening, and because of that glaciers are melting. So whenever glaciers are melting, there will be increased water flow in this, especially Himalayan rivers, because they are getting the source from this glaciers itself of Himalayas. So what happens whenever there is increasing of water flow, they can they can save more amount of water. What if some suddenly rainy season, monsoon season happen, so there is rainfall, and on the other side melting of glacier is happening. For example, this dam it is filled with the water. So if there is more amount of water, what happens? Suddenly the gates will be opened. So whenever the gates opens, what happens? So more amount of water that come into India. So what happens because of that? It will also cause floods. It may also cause water war. So if they want to conduct or wage a war against India, they simply can use this dam. They can simply can open the gates of this dam so that this northeast is getting affected. That is the second important problem. And not only that, you know that northeast is very much important regarding biodiversity. So we are having very rich biodiversity because here we will be having hills called as Purvanchal hills. And normally that hilly regions are very much good at a wide variety of plants and as well as animals. So if the water flow is affected here, then obviously it will be affecting the biodiversity, environment will be getting affected. So these are the three important contents of this super dam of China. So that is the thing which mainly said here in this article. That's it, nothing more than this. Okay, now let us see here what is given in this article. So China's ambitious plan to construct a massive hydroelectric dam. It is also called as Super Dam of China on this river called as Brahmaputra. So this Brahmaputra river is called as Yarlung Zangpo in Tibet. So it is raising some concerns for India and its neighboring countries. Neighboring countries nothing but Bangladesh here. So this Yarlung Zangpo is known as Brahmaputra in India and Bangladesh. It is acting as a lifeline for millions of people because they will provide water source for drinking, irrigation, everything. So if you see the details, so here they are focusing on generating of hydropower, and if we see the what are the problems, we are having the problem regarding water security. So whenever China is shifting from coal towards renewable energy, so here every country is saying that we are going for carbon neutrality, that is decreasing of carbon dioxide emissions, and the target of China it is by 2060 they have to achieve carbon neutrality. But India's target is by 2070 we are going to achieve this target of carbon neutrality. So for this achieving of this carbon neutrality, they have to decrease carbon dioxide emissions into atmosphere. So how can they do? So they have to move towards non-renewable resources towards renewable resources. That means they should not use fossil fuels like coal or diesel, petrol, etc. They have to use renewable energy. So one example of renewable energy is solar energy that you all know. Apart from that, hydro energy. So they want to go for generation of more hydropower energy by using this Yarlung Zangpo river. So because of this, it is causing serious concern for lower riparian states. That means, so whenever river it is moving, so in which area it had been started, it is called as upper riparian. From there, it is entering into the second state. Second state is called as lower riparian. So if you take the Brahmaputra example, upper riparian is China and lower riparian states are India and as well as Bangladesh. If they are doing anything on this river, it will be affecting water flow in this lower riparian states like India and as well as Bangladesh. So this is a thing which mainly said in this article. And next important point here is there is also concern regarding environment. And even you know that sometimes earthquakes can be happen because of man-made. So earthquake will be happen because of natural reasons and man-made reasons. So natural reasons is nothing but because of the plate movements, plate tectonics, convergent plates. For example, Pacific Ring of Fire is very much famous for this earthquakes. But what happened whenever we are going for the dam and when we are storing huge amount of water, that will be causing artificial earthquake. So whenever they are going for building of this massive dam on this Brahmaputra river, obviously there is a impact of causing of earthquake in this region. So if earthquake which happens along this Indo-China border, it will be having impact on our country as well. So if suddenly earthquake happened and if that structures of dam had been collapsed, then what happened? Whatever the water which is stored in that dam, that will be gushes into India and Bangladesh. It will leads to the entire wiping of our northeastern states. So this is one cause of concern. And next one here is because of this project, it will lead to the disruption in the sediment flow and river ecosystem, loss of biodiversity, so that we can't maintain proper ecological balance in this region. And even Brahmaputra river dam, which is also having impact on the Bangladesh as well. Okay, and even you know that the relations between India and Bangladesh is also not good because of Sheikh Hasina outflow from Bangladesh and new interim government which formed in Bangladesh by this Yunus. So we are not having even relations, so that we can't even provide regional security, regional water security for Bangladesh. And even India cannot cooperate well like earlier with Bangladesh regarding this water security. So because of this super dam of China, it is having economical, geological, and as well as environmental impact. So that is the thing which mainly said in this article. So these are the important topics that appeared in our today's Hindu newspaper. So by this I'm concluding. Thank you so much, guys. And please do like this class and share this class to your friends, and do subscribe to Rathore Science Academy. Don't forget.